Hi everybody, welcome back to Rebellious Menstruation and to another top 5, which if you've been watching my top 5 you'll know that it's 5 plus 1. Essentially what we're doing is a top 5 myths about single use and reusable products. Myth number 1 is single-use products like tampons contain asbestos to make you bleed more. This one is actually a Carefree Flexia with this kind of like bat wing thing on the top. I think at some point this is a super, take this out of the container and do an absorbency test for people, but at the moment, Carefree Flexia. This was a myth that happened when I was a teenager, and it's not true. They don't put asbestos in single-use menstrual products. Asbestos is quite toxic in fibrous, and when it's fibrous, it's not so. I mean, the house that I live in has asbestos in the roof, but it's not broken up. It's not damaged in any way. But the idea is that these companies were trying to make more money out of you by making you bleed more. It's false. It's very, very, very false. I have no idea where this myth came from. Don't get me wrong, I think they're trying to make money. This is just not one of the reasons why. Or how. Number 2 is reusable products make you bleed less. Quite a few other vloggers have actually spoken about this. This is a very easy rumour to find and quash, to be honest. It is not true. It is patently not true. Over your lifetime, your period will change, and it will change for a variety of reasons, including your age, your climate, your diet, your environment, and more often than not what happens in this situation where you move to a more natural product or a product is that you start paying more attention. I have another video up on how I track my period, and you'll notice that previously to me going to cloth pads, I didn't necessarily write down how many times that I changed. I recorded the start date and the end date of my period for medical reasons, but because and by medical reasons I don't mean that I have anything wrong with me. I just meant every time we go to the doctor we get asked when was the date of your last period, so I just kept track of it via an app because it was easier. So you tend to start paying more attention, your diet start changing. I mean, I started adding magnesium to my diet. Because I'm a vegetarian, I already took flaxseed oil for omega-3, and I took a multivitamin as well. But I added magnesium to my daily regime, so and magnesium helps with cramps and stuff like that. So the thing is, your diet changes when you kind of start making more health conscious decisions. They start kind of tumbling in on one another. So those are the several reasons, and on top of that your period does change over time, and it will change over time, and it would from when I first got my period at 11, I'm now 38, and it is a vast difference from when I was 11 to when I was 15 to when I was 20 to when I was 30. So don't make the mistake of discouraging your body's natural biorhythm. I don't also take the pill because I find it abhorrent, but so this is my natural cycle, but it just naturally changes. So I found that I was very allergic to disposable single-use items, so I became less itchy and I started reacting less to these products, but that doesn't mean the amount of blood that I lost or my period was actually in any way different. Also, the next one is that single-use products, due to stuff like dioxin chemicals, cause cancer and endometritis. There's no proof and evidence of this. And in the past, there's possibly two reasons for that. Is one, this is a $20 billion worldwide industry, and they have zero interest in changing that. But we don't know historically the amount of women who got cancer and endometriosis, because it wasn't recorded, because, you know, historically no one cared about women's health. Thanks, patriarchy. So as a consequence, we have nothing to compare it to, so we don't know whether we have a higher rate of, well, on top of that now, stats suggest that it takes a woman at least 10 years to get diagnosed with endo or endometriosis. So therefore, even now the statistics are a bit warped, but there is still no suggestion that tampons and pads cause cancer or endometriosis. There is a causal link between taking the pill and taking hormonal birth control and cancer. So just, you know, you just have to be careful about the type of myths that you're spreading around, because it freaks people out. If 100% of women used cloth pads and menstrual cups, I would be 100% happy. But I want women to change over because they choose to, not because they're terrified of some lie, essentially. Come because your money speaks louder than anything else here. We are 100% of this industry. Run by men, sold by men, but women are 100% of the audience. You can make better decisions, and I expect you to. However, I don't want you to make those better decisions because you're being lied to. Number 4 is that single-use products are sterile. So I think I've spoken about this before, is that the delusion is that these products, because they're white, because they're wrapped in plastic, because they come in a little feminine hygiene aisle, or they come from the feminine hygiene aisle, are sterile. They are 100% absolutely not sterile. So, you know, this still has manufacturing dust and everything, you know, here. So do not, again, just kind of like this causes cancer, this is also not sterile. So don't make the mistake, especially if you have kids who are asking you to change to these types of products and you say, no, this stuff's disgusting because this is more hygienic. Well, it's not true. These are not more hygienic, these are not sterile, these are not better for you. So myth 5 is that wearing tampons will wreck your virginity. This makes me very brain ragey and this makes me furious because this is specifically targeted at women, and it is essentially the equivalent of slut shaming, and in particular when it's an 10 or 11-year-old girl. If you're thinking that about a 10 or 11-year-old girl, fuck off. And the second reason is the only way to go from a virgin to a not virgin is have sex. That's it. The only definition of losing your virginity is to have sex. It has absolutely nothing to do with tampons. It has absolutely nothing to do with menstrual cups. Not losing your virginity, not losing your virginity, having sex, losing your virginity. That's it. Nothing else to do with it. And quite frankly, it is your responsibility as every woman to stop spreading this ridiculous type of subject and this ridiculous type. This myth appeared when I was looking online about myths online. This myth about the virginity, these make you lose virginity, pretty much appears across every continent and in Chinese culture, Japanese culture, Australian culture, American culture, British culture, German culture, Russian culture. It was pretty consistent, Indonesian, across nearly every nation, that wearing these types of things make you lose your virginity. So stop it. It's a ridiculous patriarchal construct to begin with, and the second reason is the only way you can not be a virgin is to have sex. And then the bonus myth is that your cycle and your menstrual cycle is only this, 3 to 7 days of the month that you bleed. It's not true. Your menstrual cycle, your cycle can be between 21 and 35 days. Generally 28 days is the accepted limit, just because that's what artificial hormones give you. If you're on contraception, they generally give you a 28-day cycle, but it's not abnormal to have a 21 or to 35 in that gap cycle. So it is not just the week that you bleed, it is when you are ovulating, it's when your body's starting to cycle through different things. This is a process. I think I sit around 26 days, so I have a 26-day process, and I have a 26-day cycle that goes through all of these hormone changes and balances and ovulation and my period. So don't mistake one thing with the fact that it's tied in with everything else. There is a video on the pill and what it does to your body, so go over and watch that, do your own research, have a look. Other than that, they're my 5 myths about period products, plus one. Other than that, see you next time.